have been thinking that he has to do the work in order for our relationship to be saved, that he has to see the problem the way I see it, that he has to acknowledge and take ownership of what's going on before anything can get any better. That the good news is that none of that is true. And the reason why you need to know that is because as long as you are buying that erroneous thinking, you are completely powerless to change it. Do you know why? Because you're relying on someone outside of you to do something, anything, for you to be able to change. I want to describe kind of where, what the issue feels like first, and then you can add your own experience of it. So many of the women who I've worked with for over such a long time, this isn't new in my awareness. It's a new courage for me to be able to name it and talk about it. But so many of the women who have reached out to me over the years and in my work have been really stuck in the marriage since having kids. For some of them longer. For some of you, there may have been dynamics present from before you decided to start a family. But you successfully danced around them because before you have kids, it just feels like the stakes are a lot lower. Once you have kids, then what goes on in the relationship really matters and reverberates through kids and through the family dynamics. So everything magnifies, which is what motherhood does. It magnifies all of the things that aren't working in the marriage, in the relationship. Okay, so how it's been looking lately is my husband is highly anxious. He tries to control me by discouraging me from taking care of myself, or maybe way more subtle, just subtle manipulation, taking control gradually of the finances. After you become a mom and start focusing more of your energy on kids, there'll be sort of a gradual taking over of the finances. So taking over of the decisions the family makes, where you invest, what you buy, which may or may not, but in a lot of cases lately includes, do you get to go to yoga? Do you get to go meet up with a friend? Is he going to cover for you to take care of you, or give you an allowance and then dictate how you're allowed to spend it? And so how you end up, and whether it's this extreme or whether it is more subtle, you feel really disrespected. Perhaps your partner is not seeing you, appreciating you, and over the years of being a mom and having kids, it's become more extreme. And there may be feelings of, and I wrote this in the post today, if you feel like you're having to walk on eggshells to not upset your husband, if you feel like you're having to protect the kids to keep them out of the line of fire, if you believe that if you weren't there, if you took time for you and you weren't there, that things could get really ugly. So you're not feeling safe in your experience. You're not feeling safe in your body. You're not having ownership over your choices. You're not allowed to really follow up on your own needs and take action on those. This is kind of how you perceive the world. What happens is over time you begin to isolate yourself and back yourself into a corner. Like life will get smaller and smaller as you withdraw from social circles, as you kind of accept the limitations that your partner brings in. You don't feel free to be you. You don't feel free to listen to your own needs and take action on those. And you feel a real pressure from your partner, or you feel a lack of support, and it can manifest in so many different ways. After a while, you really lose connection with your heart, with your own fire. And where I see people going is they get to a point where they're reaching out for help and saying, I've been here so long, I can't imagine anything different. And my marriage is at a point where there's so little connection between the two of us, I don't even know if I want to reconnect or stay with this person. And I can't tell you how much I hear this. I don't even know if I want to stay with this person, but I couldn't even consider being without my kids. So splitting up the family, living without, or getting a divorce or separating. The thought of losing my kids or getting half time with my kids is so upsetting, which it's obvious why. It's so overwhelming that it's easier to stay in avoidance. That it's easier to muscle through, push through, and stay in avoidance rather than address what really is not working. When you're living out of alignment with your heart's desires, with your values, with your dreams, when you're living in a relationship that is not about the truth, it's about avoiding the truth, you'll deplete so much energy and so much time, and so many of your natural resources will be depleted in just maintaining that imbalance. What we tell ourselves is that it will be too much effort or time or money for me to try to fix the relationship. And a lot of the women who are out there just kind of living out these lopsided relationships and marriages, if you're there, I know that one thing that we will tell ourselves is, this is better than the alternative of having to go get a job and earn money and support my kids and live separately from my partner. But, is that really true? Is one thing I want to say. Is that really true? And also, is that really the only option? These are not the only options. And this is what I want to come on to say today. So I want to blow up, just really pick apart something and show you another way of looking at it. So what we think is, if he won't agree to come do healing work with me, if he won't agree to go to the couples therapy, and these guys who are controlling and it's a fear, they're driven by fear, so a lot of anxiety, a lot of kind of threats or controlling or attempts to keep you small or keep you from, and I don't think that mostly it comes from a place of wanting to inflict harm. I think we're just all living what we came from. We're just all doing the best we can. And sometimes in relationships, when we have kids, the ugly stuff is what really comes out. And so we're thinking, either he goes to couples therapy with me, or this can't change, or if we're thinking, if he doesn't see the problem the way that I do, then this can't change, or we're thinking, if he doesn't take responsibility for his shortcomings, if he doesn't own the fact that he's being disrespectful to me or to the kids, then this can't ever change. And I know this may sound really radical, and I might be really going against the grain on this one, but I have enough evidence at this point that fully supports me coming into a deep knowing about this, which I suspected to be true for a long time. But none of those things are the case. It's just not true that he has to go to therapy with you, or he has to take ownership in order for transformative change to happen, or he has to change first, or he has to acknowledge that his behavior is wrong. Or, it's great if he does acknowledge those things. That's great. But none of your change work is contingent on him seeing his flaws or taking ownership of those. Eventually, it's going to go that direction if you begin to come into ownership of you and your experience. To really get that thinking is erroneous or is backwards thinking, you have to understand what a relationship is. A relationship is the third entity. It is neither you nor your partner. We can all agree to that, right? A relationship is something else. It's not me. It's not my husband. It's the third entity. It is a co-created experience. Okay, it's not a person, it's not a thing. I'm calling it an entity intentionally. It's an entity because it is the energy that is co-created when two people mix it up with each other. And it changes and ebbs and flows over time. It's completely fluid. It's not static. It's complete. You feel stuck, but your relationship is growing and changing, sinking, rising, moving, expanding, contracting all the time. So the relationship is the co-creation. It's an experience. It's energy. It's an experience. It's moving and changing all the time. We're contributing to it, and the other person is contributing to it based on, do you know what? What is the co-creation? Where is it coming from? So the relationship is the co-creation. And what that means is that we have influence, we have impact, we have so much power over what happens in our relationships because it's all coming from inside of us. We are co-creating it. We don't have control over the relationship itself, and we never will. We never will have control over the relationship because that is the co-creation. It's coming from me. It's coming from my partner. It's a co-creation. I also will never have control over my husband. I mean, that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. If you think you have control over your partner, then again, erroneous thinking that is really going to slow you down from your own expansion, your own being in your light. We think that because we have no control over our partners, that there's no hope for the relationship because they've said no to couples therapy, because they won't hear us speak, because they're totally shut down, because they have generalized anxiety disorder, because they have multiple complex trauma and have never gotten help, or because they can't hear a word that we say without it turning into a fight, or because they feel that berated by us, or because they feel criticized by us, the relationship is dead. Right? How many of us have spun those wheels? We've spun those wheels, and you won't get anywhere to keep spinning them. You won't get anywhere new. Definitely just keep digging the wheels deeper in the trenches until you do decide to split up, or until, 10 years from now and the kids are gone, and you finally think, I'm free. I can start my own career at this point. But is that really what you want? And so I know for many of the women who reach out to me, that isn't what they want. What they want is for it to be good now. What they want is to really feel love and be loved. They want to feel seen. They want to feel valued. They want their husbands to respect them. They want their children to follow that model of being loved and valued and respected. Because what happens alternatively when we've just written off the relationship and are in hiding or in avoidance from a partner who disrespects us is that our children mimic that behavior, and you know it. It's already happening. They mimic all the stuff that you can't stand hearing. It hurts your ears, and you think, oh my God, I know that's me, or I know that's my partner. It sounds exactly like the way that we say it. They mimic that, and we realize that it's official at that point. We can't deny it. When they're one or two, before they get the wording right and the intonation, we can go, they're not really picking it up, but just wait. And when they become 7 or 9 or in the teen years, it's unmistakable that they are living out our unresolved stuff. And so all the more motivation to figure out if the relationship really is dead, or if there is a way that we can have our own transformation that will bring healing into the relationship. If the relationship is a co-creation, if it's neither you nor him, but it is something that you both create together, what that means is that everything that you're feeling, that you're believing, your thoughts and ideas about yourself and the world is what flows into your relationship. And your partner's thoughts and ideas about him or herself in the world are also flowing into the relationship. And if you're here and this is resonating for you, what's happening is that's creating a lot of friction and conflict. And there's just disconnect, just total disconnect. And then anger, and then layers of resentment, and then layers of grief and sadness, and then hopelessness. it doesn't have to end there. It doesn't have to end in a break. And of course, there'll be some of you who will tune in that are in different circumstances. And I understand that too, where sometimes you're on the path to separation because your path of self-realization includes having outgrown the relationship. And I'm not talking to you today. And hopefully this is helpful for you anyways, and just reflecting on where you've been. But to understand that we're each of us contributing to a co-creation, it's not a big leap from there to realize that, oh, if I change, and this is how the question comes in, how's it going to work if I change? I'm just going to outgrow the relationship and it will end anyway, right? So I get that a lot. How is it going to help change the relationship for me to change? Because what I'm guessing is going to happen is I'm going to leave him behind. And that's really scary for me. And I don't want to abandon him. I don't want my kids to lose their intact family. I don't want them to lose their dad. I don't want to set him into such a tailspin that he goes down the wrong path. And there's so many fears around realizing our power. It is endless how many fears we can have about owning the way we feel and honoring the way we feel. But if we know that we're done being disrespected, then we're here between a rock and a hard place. Because I'm done being spoken to like that. I can feel that way. I'm done being spoken to like that. I'm done being backed into a corner. I'm done feeling like my choices, my decisions, my desires don't matter. I know they do. So if you're there, then you're ready to take some kind of action, but your partner doesn't see it. So you're thinking, what the hell do I do now? When one person in a relationship or a system changes, the entire system changes. It has to. When we do a healing work, when we heal our hearts, when we come into a new belief that sounds like, I matter, and what I want matters, and I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get healthy. When we get there and embody that certainty, that energy, that resilience, that strength, ownership of I matter. Yeah, it's the easiest way I can think to say it. When we own that, the relationship itself cannot not change. It cannot stay where it's been. Do you get that? Does that make sense? It can't not change because it's a co-creation. It would be the same would be true if you did nothing to work on you and your partner did a whole lot of work on him or herself. The same is true because what then flows into the relationship from one side changes the shape of the relationship itself. And I really, really want to share this message, which is that does not mean that the relationship will end. In 9 times out of 10, in my experience, it means everyone in the family is elevated. It's actually more like 99 out of 100 is the real statistic in my own clinical experience. That's a lot. That's coming from a lot of women who were in relationships that felt doomed, where they felt unloved, they felt undervalued, they felt even afraid. And yet, when they learned to step into ownership of their wisdom with 2 feet and start making decisions without the self-doubt, when they move past the anxiety, break out of the overwhelm and get a clear head and know how to trust themselves and lead the family from that place, the relationship experiences healing. The relationship benefits from that new life. From you being in your light, your marriage will gain light. Does that make sense? The big takeaway today is that you are more powerful than you know. You're more powerful than you know. And so many of us, when we're in the dark, cannot imagine how the light feels. That is just the spiritual experience. When we are in the dark, some of us remember a time when we felt that what we had to say was important, or that it really was possible to realize our desires. And we can sometimes connect with and remember a time when we felt loved, whether it was by our now partner or someone else. And I really want to speak out to you and just speak to your heart. So just begin with that realization that I've been tolerating something that's really not okay with me for a long time. And then take the step to reach out for help if you need it and if you want it. And I'm here for you if you want help just getting the clarity about, is it too late for us or not? Or is it really true for me what you're saying? Can it work for me to really come into ownership of my own healing and then seeing that flow into my relationship? I'm more than happy to help you get clarity about that. You can always PM me or reach out or go ahead and book a call if you want to have some help and support on that. Just hoping that you'll take from it whatever you need, and trusting that, and trusting you'll reach out if you need further help. Okay. Love and blessings to you.